Good morning, everyone. Excuse me. And thank you, Adrian, for that warm introduction. For those of you who have come from places not quite this cold, this was a bit of a shock. The golf courses were packed on Thursday, just so you know, and today winter has arrived. I am delighted to be here on behalf of the Honourable Jim Carr, Minister of Natural Resources, and to welcome everyone to this very important and frankly timely event. Today speaks to our government's vision for the future, a future based on clean growth, a future based on economic prosperity and environmental protection, which go hand in hand. Your presence here suggests that you share that vision, that you accept that we are at a pivotal moment when the world is making an historic transition to a low-carbon future, when climate change is the greatest challenge of our generation, and when investing in clean energy, technology, and innovation is today's new imperative. This is the global reality of the 21st century, and it's both daunting and exciting. Daunting because it entails significant challenges, but exciting too because it represents incredible opportunities if we're prepared to seize them. Mining and mineral processing reflect these perspectives as industries that are both energy intensive and entirely indispensable with the shift towards clean technology. We need copper for the highly wired clean energy age, metals for solar panels, and rare earth elements and lithium for everything from wind turbines to the next generation of batteries. And as I walked around the Congress here today, I could see the electricity, no pun intended, in some of the innovations and technologies around the room, and it's very exciting. We've reached a turning point, reducing our greenhouse gas emissions at the very moment that the mining and mineral sector is ideally positioned for rapid expansion into new markets with new uses. How do we find that sweet spot between economic growth and environmental stewardship? If there's one thing I've learned during our government's first year in office, it's that there is no unanimity on what sustainable resource development should look like. But Minister Carr has pointed out more than once, there is a growing consensus. Canadians are finding a middle ground for clean growth. More and more Canadians understand that we can get our resources to market safely and sustainably as a way to support the transition to a lower carbon economy. And the one safe bet in all of this is that clean, renewable energy will be a key part of that solution. Of course, that's one area where we can have a solid jump on other countries. Canada is a global leader in generating clean, renewable energy. Over 3/4 of our electricity already comes from sources that do not emit greenhouse gases. That's the good news. The problem is that there are challenges that start where our existing power grids end. And I was talking to someone out in the hallway there about the vastness of Canada as a country. Our cold north, our remote communities, and it does present a challenge, but we are not the only country in the world that has these challenges. Working together will help us get to where we need to be. How do we meet the clean energy needs of major industries operating off the grid in remote communities? How do we build those clean, cost-effective, small and medium-sized grids that will sustain tomorrow's resource development? I'm hoping you're going to answer those questions this week, or at least make some headway in answering those questions this week. For example, replacing the use of diesel in the mining sector with alternative energy sources would lead to a 35% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions for mining operations and improve the health and safety of workers. But how do we get there? That's your job today and tomorrow as leaders in our energy and mining sectors, to build on common objectives, to take the natural synergy that exists in this room, and to put renewable energy to greater use in an industry responsible for the minerals and metals that are critical to tomorrow's clean technology. This is no small task, but today is about those next steps towards a stronger mining industry with a smaller carbon footprint. Fortunately, we have many terrific examples to show us the way. With companies such as Goldcorp, which is investing in clean technology at its Borden mine in Northern Ontario to create Canada's first all-electric underground mine by 2019. Or Rio Tinto, whose Diavik diamond mine in the Northwest Territories boasts the world's largest wind-diesel hybrid power facility. Or Sun Mine in Kimberley, BC, where one of the world's largest lead and zinc mines is now being turned into Western Canada's largest solar project. These examples tell us that the transition is well underway and has been for quite a while now. In fact, most mining companies in Canada indicate they have comprehensive energy and greenhouse management systems in place right now. Many are even including carbon risk in their energy plans. Why? It's not just about their bottom lines, although that in itself is a very good reason. It's also about improving competitiveness and enhancing sustainability. Glencore's Raglan mine in Nunavut, Quebec is a case in point. Glencore included a 3-megawatt wind turbine and cutting-edge storage capabilities, all connected to a diesel grid. This impressive demonstration project, funded in part with a $7.8 million investment from Natural Resources Canada, has already produced significant cost savings and GHG reductions by displacing 4.5 million liters of diesel so far. This is the kind of cooperation that fosters community support, new partnerships, and real opportunities. It's also why mining projects have experienced a generally wider acceptance than many other resource projects. There's no better example of that than the mining industry's long-standing tradition of meaningful and early engagement with Indigenous communities, the result of which is that more than 10,000 Indigenous people are working in mining and mineral processing across our country. How have these companies done it? By our account, there are 380 active agreements between mining companies and Indigenous communities. Agreements that are providing significant local benefits and assurances in key areas such as training, employment, business development, and environmental protection. All of this matters to us because, as the Prime Minister has said, no relationship is more important to our government than the one with Indigenous peoples. And a good way to demonstrate our sincerity is by respecting the profound connection Indigenous peoples have with the land, water, and air, and the great sense of responsibility they feel for preserving it. There's a wonderful Indigenous proverb: we do not inherit this land from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Which brings me full circle to that nexus between mining and environmental protection and how each thrives on the other. How mining projects won't win the public's trust unless they are shown to be sustainable, and how that sustainability hinges upon producing the metals and minerals that will go into tomorrow's clean technology. Renewable energy is a critical component in all of this, especially as its price point continues to fall and its baseload and storage capacities continue to climb. Governments have a role to play to help ensure all of these moving parts come together coherently and effectively. Indeed, while industry will ultimately dictate the pace of change, governments can influence decisions, encourage actions, and reward results. That's why we are working with the provinces and territories to develop a pan-Canadian framework for clean growth and climate change, and build on their Canadian energy strategy to further protect our energy security, encourage energy conservation, and bring cleaner, renewable energy onto a smarter electricity grid. To these ends, we're also setting clear targets for reducing GHG emissions and putting a price on carbon pollution. And I would just add that I applaud the Mining Association of Canada for its leadership in supporting these important measures, as well as its own ideas on climate change policy and its support for lower emission generation technology and implementation. Our government is also doing its part by committing $1 billion over the next 4 years to support clean technology in the natural resources sector, including mining. This investment reflects the urgency we felt when we made Canada a founding member of Mission Innovation, an ambitious new global partnership that has grown to include 22 countries and the EU, working together to accelerate clean energy innovation and the transition to a lower carbon economy. A partnership that will help reduce Canada's greenhouse gas emissions, diversify our economy, and importantly, create jobs. Under Mission Innovation, Canada has pledged to double federal government investment in clean energy research, development, and technology demonstration over 5 years to $775 million annually by 2019-2020. We are also increasing domestic and international collaboration to advance Mission Innovation goals. Of course, our government can't do it alone. That's why Mission Innovation is also aimed at spurring private sector investments in clean technology. It taps the private sector's strengths and expertise, harnessing the creative powers of entrepreneurs who often see opportunities that others do not. These types of partnerships between governments and industry and innovators are important. We've seen it with the CanMet Mining's Green Mining Initiative, which uses an industry-driven, government-delivered approach to accelerate the use of new technologies and processes, boosting environmental and economic performance. And one quick example, the CanMet Mining worked with Bestech, a Canadian clean technology supplier some of you may have heard of, and Vale's Coleman Mine in Sudbury to validate the first green mining technology through Environment and Climate Change Canada's Environmental Technology Verification Process. It's a very long name for a very exciting opportunity. Essentially, this new ventilation on-demand technology allows an underground mine to reduce the energy consumption of its fan system by at least 20% while maintaining a safe environment for its workers. With wider buy-in, this project has the potential to significantly reduce costs, change mining practices around venting, and ultimately lead to reduced carbon emissions throughout the industry. Elsewhere, we are using alternative energy technologies such as hydrogen to replace the use of diesel in underground mining. And the good news is we are just getting started. Today, we have a chance to move those yardsticks. By focusing on renewable energy, clean technology, and relentless innovation, we can lay the foundation for the mines of tomorrow. We can ensure our dynamic industries remain a source of jobs and opportunities for generations to come. The potential is tremendous. The opportunities are real. And ladies and gentlemen, the time is now. Thank you.